Shalom, friends. It's Rabbi Jenny Solomon here at Beth Meyer Synagogue with a Mincha moment. We are now into the regularly scheduled weekly Torah portion, and we're still close to the very beginning of it all with Parashat Noach, the story of Noah and the ark and the flood and all the things that ensue. And as Jews, of course, we don't read our Torah literally. We are not fundamentalist by nature, but rather we understand the Torah as a repository of ideas, of teachings, of stories that help us understand why we're here and how we look at the world, how we look at ourselves, how it is God wishes for us to become in the world in such a way that will optimize our own flourishing and the flourishing of all living beings. So one of the things that really stands out to me in this week's Torah portion, towards the very end of Genesis chapter 8, God pronounces Vayomer Hashem Elibo. God resolved in God's heart, so to speak, that God will never again totally flood and destroy the earth. One of the things that is so wonderful is that at the very beginning of the Torah, we essentially see that God experiences regret, remorse, and has the capacity to intend to repair, to do things differently in the future. And if God can do that, we, as our Torah portion reminds us, are also created. B'Tselem Elohim, we are created in God's image. That spark of creativity, of the freedom to choose differently in the future, that is also inside of us. So I think we see in the Torah and in later rabbinic sources, we see not an unchanging God, not a God that's sort of fixed, which I think sometimes we assume, whether it's from sort of Greek philosophy or sort of the Christian waters that we sort of swim in, at least in this part of the world. But this idea instead of a God that is ultimately becoming, that is learning how to move through the world in a way which will promote peace and repair and healing and connection. And so too us. This same verse when God says, I will never again destroy, God knows that we're going to make mistakes. We are, by our very nature, prone to err. But that doesn't mean that we have to keep doing it. We are endowed with the freedom to choose, with the ability to discern and learn from our experiences. And so whatever is going on in your life in this moment, whether you're at your job and something's just not working for you anymore in the way that you're doing your work, or you're parenting and there's some aspect of the relationship or a dynamic that is not working anymore. Let this be an inspiration for all of us that we are not doomed to continue to perpetuate our mistakes, our habits, our patterns, our preconceived ideas of what would be best in the moment, but rather, like God who models for us in this Torah portion, we can do things differently in the future. That is actually connected to our source of creativity. And it is so, it's so generative to remind ourselves that we are, each one of us, in the process of becoming. And not only us, but we are in this co-creative process with none other than the Holy One. All right, everyone. Here's to changing and growing and becoming and learning in the year ahead. Shalom. Peace.